Now let's hop into the main topic of the show. We're going to start out, of course, with the Sega Genesis. Sega Genesis was released in 89, I believe, right? Yes, 1989. It first came out. It came out with a pack-in titled Altered Beast, which many of you remember. That led through 1991. Was this the console that you owned?
That's the console I owned. I had the Sega Master System first. And, people always say, you're either a Nintendo kid or I was a Sega kid. I just gravitated towards Sega. I grew up in the arcade, man. I grew up in the time of arcades, and Sega dominated the arcade. So when they came out with the Genesis and Altered Beast, which was popular in the arcade, I was all over it.
Yeah, I was a Genesis kid as well, but I transferred over from Nintendo.
But yeah, that led right into the Genesis, and I was all in. I was all about it.
So did you own an NES and also a Master System at the same time?
I didn't. I went to the NES late.
Really?
Yes. I didn't jump on an NES until way later.
So you were just a Sega diehard for a while.
I was.
Now, I didn't have Altered Beast. I got the second version of it's the first version of the console. Let me rephrase that. It's still a Genesis 1 console, but it had a different pack-in, and this is when Sonic the Hedgehog came out. I bought into Sega's marketing hardcore. They wanted to appeal to probably people that were my age. I was I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. And they were like, oh, this is the more mature console. I was like, oh yeah, I'm mature. I'm 9 years old. This is the console for me. And I just wanted Sonic. Sonic was awesome. Sonic
was great.
I had to have Sonic. So that's why I went from an NES to a Genesis. It was literally because of Sonic. And that was my pack-in title, which I still have to this day.
Do you remember the buzzword that they kept throwing around when they introduced Sonic?
Blast processing?
There you go. Blast processing.
The Sega Genesis has blast processing. Super Nintendo doesn't. So what's blast processing do? And what if you don't have blast processing?
Sonic has blast processing. What is that?
It's a turn. Look, their marketing was so good.
It was good.
Here's to you, Tom Kalinske. We're at whatever island you're on, drinking, whatever the hell you're drinking right now. Jesus, man, genius. If you don't know who Tom Kalinske is, he's the one who helped Mattel launch Barbie, I believe. I think he was behind that whole campaign. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but he was in the toy industry for a long, long time. And Sega scouted him and was like, hey, they found him on an island in Hawaii, while he was on vacation with his family. And Sega was like, we want you to, launch this for us in North America. And eventually Sega convinced him to do it. And the rest was history.
Yep. Their marketing team was great. The whole Sega does what Nintendo don't. Come on, it's great.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit arcade action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade hits.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
What Nintendo don't. The 16-bit Genesis system by Sega. Genesis does it all.
Funny you mentioned that. If you like that phrase, go check out our latest TikTok video. It involves that phrase. I'll say that. So it's Genesis-esque. And then, Sonic was huge. I mean, I love Sonic. I played the hell out of that. I didn't really play Altered Beast. I think I own that game today. I'm looking around because I have games around me sometimes, and my Genesis games are not out right now. But I think I might have that, but I don't really recall playing it too much. How did you feel about Altered Beast?
It was a side-scrolling. It was a side-scrolling action game. I remember playing it in the arcade, sinking many quarters in it. each stage your character collected orbs to turn into a beast of some kind. Like the first level, he turned into a wolf. Was able to, like, his special attack was he could speed dash, and he threw like fireballs out of his hands. The second level, he turned into like a dragon, but he morphed into these other altered beasts. It was based in Greek mythology. It was at the time it was playing the arcade at home, and that's what stuck with me on the Genesis. Like, again, I grew up in the arcades, and the ability to play arcade games from Sega at home, I was all about it.
Sega always beat that drum. Was, if you like the arcade experience, this is the closest you're going to get at home. They did it through Genesis, talked about it during Saturn, and as we talked about previously, the Dreamcast really felt like an arcade at home.
It did. Sega knew what they were doing.
They certainly did. Now, there were a few other revisions to the console, which we're going to discuss really briefly here. There was a Genesis version 2, which is okay. It's passable. It doesn't look as good as the Genesis version 1. If you guys are going out there to collect a retro console, please go get yourself a Genesis 1. It says like HD, 16-bit graphics on there. You got to get yourself a Genesis 1. Mm-hmm. The 2 is okay. The 3 is a disaster, which we'll get into that eventually. But 2 had Sonic the Hedgehog 2 when that launched. That came out with the Genesis version 2. Then they made a sports bundle with NFL 94. Streets of Rage 2 came out on a Genesis 2. The Lion King, Vector Man, and then finally there was a Sega 6-pack that came out on a Genesis version 2. And then after that, a version 3 came out, which I believe was made by Mad Catz.
Yep.
And nobody in your lifetime, or anybody's lifetime, wants a Genesis version 3. So just don't even bother. Like, if you get a 2, it's fine, it's passable. You really want a 1, nobody wants the 3. That ugly, ugly little thing. It
was so tiny.
And it just looked cheap.
Exactly. It felt so cheap.
Yeah. When you got a Genesis 1, Genesis 1 was like, oh man, this is like a futuristic, this is a next generation console. And then they made the revision with 2, and it was like, all right, well, this is a more compact next generation console. And then they made the third one. It was just like, this is like, how did you even make this? Like, this is terrible. And by that time, that led to like, I think the 32X was pretty much about to come out, or just came out like right around the time of the version 3.
Yeah, if not after. Yeah, it was like definitely the end of the life cycle.
Oh, it was the end, and it showed. Not so much with the games, but
I mean, it played all the games just fine.
It did, but nobody wants that. No. Look at the picture. I'll put a picture up for you guys. It's disgusting. It's horrible. But let's not talk about the bad side of the Genesis, because the Genesis, in my opinion, is Sega's greatest console. Not just because of sales or anything like that. I have more nostalgia for the Genesis games than anything else that Sega's ever done before or after that.
The sheer amount of games that were coming out at that time was phenomenal.
It was ridiculous.
And I didn't really understand that until like way later. It was like, all the games that are out for it.
Let's start with the beginning of the Genesis at the earlier stages. So the biggest thing Sega had going for it was Sonic. We have Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles all releasing on the Sega Genesis. All of these are considered classic games at this point. Maybe Sonic and Knuckles not as big as 1, 2, and 3. Maybe not.
You don't think
1,
so?
2, and 3.
Sonic and Knuckles was, again, Sega. I love Sega because of their innovation. Having Sonic and Knuckles with the clip-on cartridge.
But that's the way you had to play it. Look, if you have just a copy of Sonic and Knuckles, or just a copy of Sonic 3, you do not have the vision that Sega had. The vision that Sega had was you put Sonic 3 on top of Sonic and Knuckles, and then you have a complete game. This was like DLC before DLC.
Exactly.
So if you have it all, it's good. But if you have it separate, it's like, well, Sonic 3 is better than Sonic Knuckles. But if you have them both, it's much better together.
Of course. Because if you had Sonic and Knuckles and then you put in Sonic 2, you got to play Tails in Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
I
think it gave you like extra content.
Extra
I don't think
content.
it was just that also. Like it was like such a unique at that time. It was such a unique experience that you really couldn't find anywhere else. But you had to have both.
You had to have both. I mean, it was fun on its own. You played as Knuckles, but no, if you had, like you said, if you had both, you got a different experience.
Now, I still love the first Sonic game. I love it to death. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful game. But the advancement in Sonic 2 and moving forward was so much better than the first Sonic game. Would you agree?
I agree. But the first one is classic, man. It's the first introduction to Sonic.
Yes, but that spin attack changed things. Like having that ability to just hold down and
charge up,
pound the button and spin, so much better in 2 and every Sonic after that, basically.
I agree. It definitely changed the gameplay.
And then the other unique thing about Sonic is getting the Chaos Emeralds, of course. So you have the stages from the first one where you're like, I don't know how you felt, Wes. I got nauseous sometimes from those stages where like you're bouncing around and trying to like break through. It looked like candy. That's the best way I could describe it. It looks like candy. You're trying to like hit the same spot like 3 times and then you'll break through and go to like a new area to get to the Chaos Emerald. And then Sonic 2, you had like the raceways and you're collecting rings. Like that was so much better. So much better. And I didn't get sick playing the second game.
Well, did you get sick playing Sonic Spinball?
I never really played Sonic Spinball, to be honest. I think I had rented that once or my friend had it. I don't remember.
Okay.
I played it, but I was just like, it's fine. Did you like Sonic Spinball that much?
It was what it was.
It was fine.
It was fine. It was a cross between pinball and Sonic. You got the best of both worlds. It was, it was different. They tried to extend the Sonic brand a little longer and gave us that.
While we're on the subject, before I move forward, I need to know what your feelings are about Sonic today. How do you think he's still as relevant as he used to be? Do you feel he's more relevant, less relevant? Do you care? Do you care about Sonic in 2021?
I do care about Sonic. Because Sonic will always be Sonic. Sonic will always have significance in video game history. But over the years, I think Sonic's image has kind of waned a little bit, because of the subpar games that they kept cranking out to try to revive Sonic. And then they throw him in with Mario with the, Sonic and Mario Olympic Games. And it wasn't until Sonic Mania, I think, that they kind of started to get it right again.
I would almost completely agree with everything you're saying, but Generations, they had it right, and then they faltered. And then they kind of revived themselves with Mania. But Mania, I don't know if you knew this, that was created by Sonic fans. Sonic fans started that game, and Sega was like, "Oh, you guys are making a really good Sonic game. Why don't you just make it for us and we'll publish it?" And that's pretty much what happened.
And then we finally, after all these years, we got Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, which was really good.
Thank you.
Which was really good.
Look, growing up in the 90s, like Jim Carrey is like one of my top tier like favorite actors of all time. Like I understand some people don't get him or don't like him. I understand that. But I still love Jim Carrey very much. And him being Dr. Robotnik, that movie was so much better than I could ever imagine it was going to be. Like I thought, I was walking in there like, whatever, I'm going to see some trash. I'm going to go make fun of it the next day. And it was good. It wasn't bad. Good. It wasn't amazing, but it was good. Best video game movie of all time, in my opinion. I can't imagine you saying anything else.
I'd have to think about that.
Wizard is a close number 2, but there's a lot of BS in the Wizard.
It's up there. It's definitely up there. If it's not number 1, because I can't think of anything. But Sonic was good.
You have Sonic and the Wizard on the top tier of video game movies. there's like a huge gap between whatever you would call number 3, right?
Without a doubt.
Okay. All right, good. Maybe Tomb Raider's number 3. Like the Lara Croft from from the 90s, 2000s.
The one with Angelina Jolie?
Yeah. Decent.
Okay.
Maybe Mortal Kombat 1, maybe a number 3.
Okay, I go with that.
The one from the 90s, not the recent one.
Not the recent one was good though.
It was all right. There were some big ass plot holes in that movie.
There were. All right. That'll be a topic of another day.
It will, but I have to ask you a question now because it's forced upon me.
Okay.
How the hell do you have a Mortal Kombat movie
with no tournament?
No tournament.
No tournament.
How is that even a thing?
I know. Supposedly they're building up for the second one.
No, you just have another tournament. Like you can't have. Anyway,
I know.
That's a whole podcast within a podcast, people. Sorry. So let's move on from Sonic and Mortal Kombat. We're gonna get to Mortal Kombat in a little bit. We're gonna still talk about these mascot platformers. We're gonna talk a little bit about some weird one which you and I have a weird affinity for.
Oh, is it Bubsy?
Bubsy, yeah, man.
It's Bubsy.
Bubsy. This game I rented. I couldn't tell you how many times I rented this game. I loved renting this game. It was not a great game. Never compelled me to buy it, but I must have rented this game like 10 times as a kid.
I bought it because Sonic started off the whole mascot revolution. Every time I turned around, it was like a new mascot type game that's trying to be Sonic, the next Sonic.
He had that attitude.
He had the attitude.
The T-shirt with the exclamation mark.
And come on, man, if you let him just idle too long, he will look at you and tap on the glass. Bubsy, man. It was the first one I enjoyed. Like you said, it was not a great game, but I found so much enjoyment in Bubsy.
It was a solid game. It was like a 6 out of 10 or like a 7 out of. It was a decent game, but I found a lot of enjoyment in it somehow.
The ones after that don't matter.
I don't know that I've even ever played any other ones than the first one.
Yeah, they teased me in the store because I was like, man, I really miss playing Bubsy. I want a new Bubsy game. And they're like, oh, you finally got your Bubsy game. I think it came out on Switch and they said it's horrible.
Yeah, it came out during the PS4 era. I don't know if it came out on Switch. It may have also come out on there. They made 2 different games. And I heard they were both
awful.
Not good.
Okay, so it was PS4?
Yeah, it could have been on Switch also, but it was like during the PS4 generation.
Gotcha.
Then you have the Disney games, of course. I mean, there's some classics over on the Genesis. You got Castle of Illusion, Lion King, Jungle Book, and Aladdin. I mean, those games are... Lion King was friggin' brutal, but the rest of them are like solid games.
They were hard. All of the Disney games, you know, they're supposed to cater to the kids because of the characters. They were freaking hard.
Well, Lion King specifically was made for the arcade also, and it was designed to be hard so you could keep putting quarters in the machine. And they didn't translate that at all when they made the console version. They just kept it hard as shit. So that was the result of Lion King. Aladdin, I thought was a little easier. I think I beat Aladdin when I was a kid. So I don't think Aladdin was too hard. Jungle Book, I don't have the fondest memories of. Castle of Illusion, I definitely beat because it was just a really, really good game.
It was.
Like, best on that list for sure.
The Disney games kind of stood out for me because of the animation. Aladdin looked fantastic graphically on a cartridge.
Oh my god, dude.
It looked phenomenal. The Genesis version looked so much better than the Super Nintendo version.
Thank you. I don't think the Super Nintendo version is bad, but it is not even close to as good as the Genesis version.
Nope. Lion King, Jungle Book, and even though they came out on Super Nintendo, the Genesis ones looked and played so much better.
Absolutely.
It was like you were playing a cartoon. Like when I first turned on Aladdin, I was like, wow, this looks great for a cartridge.
It was, I couldn't believe how good it was. Like Because at that time, this is like the probably like the mid 90s. When would you say this was? Like 94, maybe somewhere
Yeah.
around there. During that time, when you got licensed products, they were trash. Almost 99% of the time was garbage. To get a great game was like surprising. Like it was unbelievable that Aladdin was so good, like a top tier game on the Genesis.
It was. I mean, Disney put out so many good games. You had, Quackshot, Tailspin. It's like all their licenses, translated for the most part really well. There were a few exceptions.
Some of them.
Yeah, there were a few exceptions that they should have just left alone. But I always look forward to a Disney game just because of the animation. I wanted to see how well that game animated.
Most Disney games during that time were good. Chip and Dale was good. Goof Troop was good. They I guess they were partnering with the right studios to make the right games, which is kind of what they're doing today. For a while, they were like trying to make their own games, and that did not go over that well. So then they were just like, let's find the people who know how to make games really well, make the games that make sense for those studios. And now, Disney's making great games again. Or somebody's making those great games with the Disney license, rather.
There we go.